Donald J. Trump arriving in Saudi Arabia for his first foreign trip as president. This is a high-stakes, 8-day, 5-country mission, which the White House hopes might turn the page on the investigations and allegations raging here at home.
And speaking of which, overnight, as the president crossed the Atlantic, we learned that the fired FBI chief, James Comey, will in fact testify before Congress and do so publicly sometime after Memorial Day. Comey will almost certainly be asked about reports that he accused the president of asking him to shut down the investigation into former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn, as well as his ties to the Russians.
And that announcement about Comey's testimony came just hours after the New York Times reported that the president discussed Comey's firing during an Oval Office meeting with the Russian foreign minister, reportedly calling Comey a, quote, nut job.
Also this morning, sources tell ABC News that the investigation into potential Russian collusion has in fact reached the White House. An unnamed staffer close to the president is now under the microscope. We have team coverage this morning, but we're going to begin with ABC's Cecilia Vega, who is with the president in Saudi Arabia. Good morning to you, Cecilia.
Hey, Paula, good morning to you. This is an American first. Never before has a president set foot on Saudi soil for his first trip abroad. But that cloud of chaos that you were just talking about is following President Trump here, even though the White House is trying for a reset. Air Force One touching down in Saudi Arabia this morning, a red carpet welcome, even if it took a while to lay out that carpet and roll out those stairs. President Trump receiving the royal treatment, the Saudi king right there to greet him and the First Lady at the king's personal terminal, used exclusively for the royal family and their guests. For President Trump, first stop, ceremonial coffee with the king, the microphones picking up their chatter. Outside, the president greeted with streets lined in American flags. Giant billboards showing him and the Saudi king. A warm welcome here for President Trump in the capital city of Riyadh. You could see all of these flags on the city's streets, but it is not just that political chaos back at home casting a shadow on this trip. It's his comments from the campaign trail, too. From his thoughts on Islam.
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred.
To that Muslim ban.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
His first foreign trip jam-packed. 8 days, 5 countries, with stops at the world's great religious centers, from Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam, to Israel and then the Vatican. An ambitious agenda, but the question this morning, how successful can President Trump be abroad with a firestorm back home? And tomorrow, the president is expected to deliver a big speech to the Muslim world, calling on it to end extremism. It was written by Stephen Miller. Paula, that is the same aide who helped on that travel ban.
In that speech, he's expected to preach religious tolerance. But I've got to ask you about that visual we've seen, Cecilia. First Lady Melania Trump is drawing some attention for not wearing a headscarf.
Yeah, and that is an example of the microscope that the president and the first lady are under a trip like this. But she is following in the footsteps of Michelle Obama, who also did not wear a headscarf during her 2015 visit. That was hugely controversial back then, seen as a sign of disrespect in this religiously conservative country. Among the people, Paula, who criticized Michelle Obama back then, Donald Trump.
Yeah, Cecilia, thanks for your reporting. We know you're going to be there for every step of the way on this trip. Thanks, Cecilia.